What's going on, guys? Eugene here, and let's talk about Scavengers. Now, if you haven't heard, Scavengers is a new free-to-play online third-person shooter developed by Midwinter Entertainment and Improbable Worlds Limited. According to the devs, it's a strategic survival battleground where squads of 3 compete to survive and dominate in a hybrid of sandbox-style PvE and class-based PvP. Now that's quite a long description, to be honest. Nevertheless, now Scavengers gameplay is fairly similar to any battle royale or other PvP games. At the beginning you choose one of the heroes, or here it's called explorers. Each of them has a unique ability and unique weapon that you can craft later in the game. Then you queue into the team of 3 and you land at a frozen wasteland empty-handed. At the beginning, looting begins. You need to find yourself a gun, medkits, provisions and crafting materials. Then you can go on and start to engage NPCs. There are different kind of NPCs, smaller ones, medium ones and mini bosses. The reason why you're doing that is because when you defeat an encampment or a mini boss, you get data. That is the goal of the whole game. Team who has the highest amount of data wins. Yes, so it's not like any battle royale game out there that the last one survive. That's not correct. You need to collect data while the map is actually getting smaller and smaller, forcing you to further in the game engage with other teams. Now, if you kill enemy team, you can collect their data, progressing through the ranks. The mechanics here are a little different. The similarity is that you have shields and of course health that you regenerate with medkits, but you also have a stamina that depletes throughout the time, so you always need to use provisions to replenish it. Also, if you suddenly get close to the ring, or in this case storm, you get a frostbite. This frostbite is increasing heavily over time, and if you do not find fire or a shelter, you can freeze to death. Which brings the new element to the game, and that is survival. So instead of just fighting NPCs or going against the players, you also need to try to stay alive. Also throughout the game you level up yourself and your team, and the crafting materials that you collect, you can craft yourself a unique weapon. Each hero has its own weapon. There are one that has a bow, the other one that has a sniper rifle. The other second weapon you can always find by simply collecting it on the map. Now let's talk about pros and cons. Pros. The game has really an amazing graphic. I need to give developers that, because the wasteland, all the encampments, even the explorers, everything looks really beautiful. You really believe that this used to be Earth that was abandoned, something horrible has happened. If you need more about the lore, they actually have it written over on their official website, so you can check like what happened. I believe there was some kind of disaster with the moon. Nevertheless, the graphics and everything around it is very, very great. The other pro of this game is the fact that they're bringing something new. So besides fighting other players, you're also fighting NPCs, you have a goal of collecting some stuff, and at the same time you need to survive, you need to collect provisions, or you also, for example, have a thermal kit that help you if you get a frostbite. This is making the game somewhat unique, because suddenly it's not just you running around and fighting, but you need to think ahead and you need to always find a loot. This is actually why the game is called Scavengers. You need to scavenge as much as you can. Another pro I would say is the gameplay. The gameplay actually feels a lot smooth, the characters are running also smooth, somewhat slow to be honest, but like sliding from the hills and jumping, this seems so very nicely made, and the physics of the games are also good. Now what I could say about cons of the game is the fact that the combat system is not actually that well balanced. Like, there is a hero that has the ability to increase his speed, but he doesn't receive any negative bonus for it, like decreased health or stamina or something. That is making the character insanely good, and that is why almost everyone is picking this character, because you can endlessly run fast and no one is stopping you. While there are others that have also abilities, but they cannot, for example, interact with this speedrunner and they cannot stop him. Second con, I would say I encountered some audio glitches where you hear your steps incredibly loudly, but you cannot hear steps of the enemy teams. And it happened to me from time to time that I was battling NPCs and I suddenly got shredded by an enemy team without actually hearing them. That makes the game sometimes unplayable. Like, a lot of online games have issues with sounds and especially stabs. That's nothing new. But here, besides the sound issues of enemy teams, there's an issue with your own team that your steps are just incredibly loud. And the other con that a lot of people are complaining about, and you can read it on forums and everywhere, is the fact that there is a very predictable endgame. Now, since there is no last squad standing, in a smaller circle, a dropship arrives, and all enemy teams, they just needed to leave on this dropship with the collected data that they have. And that makes the situation first come, first serve, because first team that gets into the ship, they can basically stay there, camp there, and eliminate anyone who's trying to get closer. Because of that, all other teams are just camping around, waiting for the last seconds to quickly run into the ship. But then, when you start to engage in those final fights that for someone is like the best gameplay of the whole online experience, these last engaging fights to see who is the one that really stands out, suddenly these fights are abrupted because ships just simply takes off and leaves. And everyone who's been there gets a great amount of experience points, and of course those who had the biggest data, they're on top. That kind of outcome destroys the reward of online gaming. Because in any online game, when you, especially in battle royales, because let's face it, even though this game is PvE, PvP, it still has a lot of elements of battle royale. And suddenly, when in the end you don't get that last kill and that win as a last squad standing, you kind of feel down because of it. Also, the other con is a lot of cheaters. The game is freshly new, but already there's a lot of cheaters. People around stop complaining, meaning that the anti-cheat program or software that is here present is not that good and can be easily cracked. That makes it very hard, for example, for content creators as myself to play this game, because if any big streamer is going to play this game, there's gonna be some kind of cheater that is gonna stream snipe him, and that is why this game actually stopped being broadcasted on Twitch altogether. It received a huge hype, but then it kind of died out because these big streamers, they cannot afford to play this game since they know that they're gonna get stream sniped immediately. Because of that, the game has a player base divided into two groups. One that is insanely loving this game and spending a lot of time now running it, and there's the other one that just didn't like it and they stopped playing it altogether. The reason for it is those people that didn't like it and left the game simply don't like the rewarding system, while the others that stay there, they actually leveled up their accounts and suddenly they're insanely powerful. And now every newcomer gets almost immediately shredded or gets killed by the veterans. If you can call people veterans in a game this new, but you know what I mean. Now, since the player base is divided into two groups, I believe the future of this game is also divided into two ways. The first way is that if they fix all the bugs, if they provide a better anti-cheat software, it actually has a potential to become one of those most played games out there, because the mechanics are really different. You have something new in here, and it can be quite refreshing to play a game like that opposite of all other battle royales or PvP games that we have. And the other way is that since they're introducing a lot of new stuff into the game, it's very hard to make it playable and enjoyable. And there's a possibility that if they fail to deliver all great stuff and they fail to bring people back into the game, in time this game just gonna die out like many other battle royales or PvP games that we've had over the years a lot. So I believe that's it. If you have any other intake on the game, or if you're part of one group or the other, feel free to leave a comment down below and tell me what you think about this game, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much guys for watching, thank you for the support, and as always, keep on playing, my friends.
Oh shit!